You're sitting in your stand and the wind just shifted. 10 minutes ago, it was perfect, pushing your scent into the empty field behind you. Now, it's swirling, drifting straight toward the bedding area you came here to hunt. You've got maybe 20 minutes before every deer in that cover knows you're here. Do you stay because you drove 45 minutes to get here and you're not wasting the morning? Or do you climb down, walk out, and protect the spot for next time? What you do in the next 60 seconds separates the hunters who fill their tag from the hunters who spend December wondering what went wrong, and the answer might surprise you because the right move feels like quitting. I ran that exact scenario past a group of 12 experienced deer hunters at a cabin in Monteau County, Missouri. That's the rolling hardwood and creek bottom country, between Jefferson City and the Ozarks fringe where the timber stands meet the pasture land. Every single one said, "Climb down." Everyone. And everyone admitted they didn't always used to do that. They learned the hard way that a bad sit isn't just unproductive, it's destructive. It educates the deer you're trying to kill. What I'm about to walk through are 20 tricks, field-tested and specific, that experienced hunters use to pull bucks to their stands instead of pushing them away. Some of these will confirm what you already suspect. A few will probably change how you hunt this season. And I'll tell you now, the one I saved for number 1 at the end is the simplest of all 20 and the hardest for most hunters to actually do. Number 20. Your entry route kills more hunts than your stand location. Most hunters obsess over where to hang the stand and then walk in sloppy. The shortest path is almost never the right one. Find the route with the least deer sign, not the least distance. Avoid crossing bedding and feeding areas entirely. Use creek beds, old logging roads, field edges behind berms, anything that keeps your boot scent off the trails deer actually travel. Your scent persists on vegetation and soil for 10 to 15 days. Every walk-in contaminates the ground for the next week. Plus, Mississippi State University's scent persistence research showed that whitetails avoided areas of concentrated human ground scent for 5 or more days after a single visit. A hunter I know in Highland County, Virginia, that's the narrow Allegheny Highland Valley west of Staunton, where the ridges squeeze deer movement into tight creek bottoms. Access his best stand by wading 200 yards of shallow creek in knee boots. His buddies think he's crazy. He fills his tag every year. 19. Get in 90 minutes before first light, not 30. Mature bucks are already moving back toward bedding, well before legal shooting hours. The deer that busted you, he was there before you were. Walk in slow, get settled, and give the woods 30 to 45 minutes to forget you're there. That quiet time before action starts is when the birds resume singing and the squirrels go back to feeding. Those sounds tell approaching deer that nothing is wrong. Number 18. Forget the spray and hunt the wind like your grandfather did. Check wind every 20 minutes with a powder bottle or a lighter flame. Wind shifts constantly, especially in hilly terrain where morning thermals pull cool air downhill and afternoon thermals push warm air uphill. No product on the shelf replaces understanding how air moves through your specific piece of ground on a specific morning at a specific temperature. Learn your thermals and you'll know which stands work at dawn and which only work in the afternoon. 17. Hang your hunting clothes outside overnight instead of in the garage. Garages smell like gasoline, oil, paint, and old lawnmower exhaust. Wash everything in unscented detergent, rinse clean, and hang it in the tree line if possible to absorb the natural scent of your area. Rain, dead leaves, cold air, and damp earth are better cover scents than anything sold in a bottle. A whitetail's nose carries 297 million olfactory receptors. Yours carries 5 million. The gap is so enormous that no artificial product closes it, but smelling like the woods where you hunt at least avoids triggering the alarm response. Number 16. Your breath is the most overlooked scent in the field. Coffee breath on a cold morning creates a visible vapor plume that drifts straight out from your face and carries volatile compounds a deer can pick up from 100 yards, roughly the distance from home plate to first base. Skip coffee on hunt mornings entirely. Brush with plain baking soda instead of toothpaste. Drink water only. This one sounds extreme until you watch a doe walk within 60 yards of your stand on a still morning. Lift her head and blow at the exact moment your breath drifts past her. I've watched it happen twice and stopped drinking coffee before hunts permanently. A hunting buddy thought I was being paranoid until he watched a mature doe blow and bolt at 70 yards on a dead calm morning. He smelled nothing. She smelled everything. 15. Big bucks don't use the main trail during daylight. Mature deer run parallel lines 15 to 20 yards inside the first wall of cover, using their nose to monitor the main trail without ever stepping on it. Does and young bucks use the obvious path. That's your indicator, not your target. Find the secondary line just inside the brush, set up there, and let the does tell you where the main trail is while the buck works the shadow route behind them. The sign on that secondary line is subtle. A single rub here, a scuffed leaf line there, maybe a faint track every 30 yards. It doesn't look like much compared to the highway width main trail. That's how you know you're in the right place. Trick 14, hunt the transition zone, not the destination. Mature bucks stage 50 to 100 yards back from food sources, holding in cover, scent checking, sometimes for 30 minutes or more before stepping into the open. Set your Muddy Nexus stand in that staging area, and you catch bucks during legal light. Hunt the food source itself, and deer arrive after dark. Auburn University GPS collar data showed deer selected away from food plots during legal hunting hours despite spending heavy time there overnight. The staging zone is where the daylight encounter happens. 13. Find where two terrain features intersect and hunt that spot hard. A ridge dropping into a hollow near water, a creek crossing where a fence line funnels movement, a narrow saddle between two hills. These natural intersections compress deer travel into predictable lanes that produce year after year, regardless of hunting pressure. You can lose a food plot to drought, a bedding area to logging, but a terrain funnel built by geography doesn't change. If you only have time to hang one stand all season, it goes where two terrain features meet. I've hunted the same creek and ridge intersection in Highland County for 6 years. The timber around it has been logged, the neighboring fields have rotated from corn to beans and back, and deer still funnel through that exact junction because the terrain hasn't moved an inch. Number 12. Fresh rubs on small trees tell you more than that one giant rub on the big oak. A massive rub on a thick tree usually means one aggressive visit from a mature buck. Small diameter rubs, 4 to 6 inches, found in a line tell you a buck is traveling that route regularly. Follow the rub line, not the single impressive rub. Set up where that line of rubs intersects a terrain funnel or a scrape line. That intersection is a repeatable ambush point, not a one-time event. 11. The licking branch matters more than the scrape on the ground beneath it. Bucks visit licking branches day and night far more frequently than they paw the dirt. The branch holds scent longer and triggers a stronger behavioral response because it carries deposits from every deer that's worked it. A chewed, rubbed, broken-tipped branch hanging about 5 feet off the ground, roughly chin height, above an active scrape tells you exactly where to set your stand. Hunt the branch. The scrape is the bonus, not the target. Number 10. Read tracks for direction and purpose, not just presence. Splayed hooves with deep toe pressure in a straight line mean a buck moving fast with purpose, probably heading to or from a doe group. Relaxed, rounded impressions with a wandering path mean a calm, feeding deer. Heavy dragging tracks from a wide stance come from a mature, heavy-bodied animal. Once you learn to read the story in the ground, you stop hunting areas and start hunting specific deer. That wide stance drag track with deep toe impressions is the buck you built your whole season around. That's the track you set your bear legit or your rifle on and wait for. 9. The 48 hours after a hard, cold front are the most productive window of your entire season. More mature bucks are killed during the clear, cold, high-pressure period following a front than in any other weather pattern. Plan hunts around the weather forecast, not the calendar. Drop everything and hunt these windows. Clear skies, stable cold temperatures, and that sharp drop in barometric pressure that happens right as the front passes are the trigger. A guy I know in Hardin County, Ohio, that's the flat agricultural tile-drained ground north of Kenton, where the woodlots sit like islands in a sea of corn and beans, has killed his last 4 mature bucks in this weather window. He takes vacation days based on the 10-day forecast, not the company calendar. Confirm what the front does to movement by pulling Moultrie Mobile Edge cell camera photos from your phone rather than walking in to check. The data will show you exactly which weather windows produce daylight buck photos on your ground. Number 8. Hunt mornings near bedding in October and afternoons near food in November. October mornings catch deer filtering back toward bedding cover after a night of feeding. Setting up between food and beds intercepts them during that transition. But that same morning, strategy near food sources in November pushes deer out before you ever see them, because they've already shifted to a feed-bed feed pattern that starts before dawn. November afternoons near staging areas give the best shot at pre-dark buck activity. Most hunters run the same game plan from September through January. Adjust with the calendar and you stay one step ahead. If you're getting something out of this, subscribe, there's more coming. 7. During lockdown phase, go deep. Days 8 through 12 of November, roughly the second week, bucks are bedded with receptive does and the woods feel dead. Field edges and easy access points go silent. Instead of hunting harder in the same spots, move away from pressure and into thick bedding cover and deep staging areas. While everyone else hammers the spots they can reach from the road, pressured deer push toward the places nobody goes. The hunter willing to walk an extra half mile, about 8 or 9 football fields past the last boot print, finds the deer that everyone else is pushing. During lockdown, I switched to a mobile setup, a climbing stand or a saddle, and hunt terrain features I scouted in February but never touched during the season. Fresh stand, fresh ground, zero accumulated human scent. Trick 6. Grunt at a buck after he walks past your stand, not while he's approaching. This one runs against every instinct. A buck walking toward you feels like a call-in opportunity. But grunting at an approaching deer when he can't see another deer at your location often makes him circle downwind to scent, check the source. Wait until the buck has passed your position and is at the edge of your effective range walking away. One short, aggressive grunt. Single note. Loud enough to carry. Then silence. This triggers a curiosity and dominance response that pull-in grunting rarely matches. Number 5. Blind rattle on a calm, cold October morning, not during peak rut. Pre-rut rattling triggers curiosity before buck competition peaks. Rattle aggressively for 30 to 40 seconds, then go completely silent for at least 15 minutes. Bucks investigating pre-rut sparring sounds approach slow and quiet, usually from downwind. Don't expect crashing through the brush. Expect a silent shape materializing at 60 yards, about the distance from a pitcher's mound to the outfield fence at a Little League park, circling cautiously. The patience after the rattle sequence is the part most hunters fail. They rattle again too soon and turn curiosity into suspicion. The 15-minute silence after the first sequence is where the magic happens. That's when the buck is closing distance and trying to locate the source. If you rattle again, you've given him a second reference point and he'll pinpoint your tree. 4. The stand you hunt the most is the stand that produces the least. A whitetail buck that has survived 3 or 4 hunting seasons has cataloged your stand location, your entry path, and your schedule. Every sit at that stand is not a neutral event. It's a negative, depositing scent, and confirming for the deer that this location means danger. Hunt your best stands once, maybe twice per season, in perfect conditions only. Run a rotation of 8 to 12 stands and treat each one as a limited resource, not a home base. I keep a notebook with every sit logged by stand number, wind direction, and what I saw. After 2 seasons, the data was undeniable. My 3 most hunted stands produced 0 mature buck sightings. My 3 least hunted stands produced 5. The math is brutal, but the lesson is simple. Trick 3. Leave your best stand untouched for the first 6 weeks of season. Every early season sit reduces that spot's effectiveness for the period when it matters most, the rut. Deer register scent, disturbed ground, broken branches from trimming lanes, and the metallic sound of a stand creaking in the wind. A mature buck needs to experience nothing unusual around that location all through September and October. Protect it completely. Then hunt it once during peak rut when conditions are perfect. That stand will produce if you've left it alone. Think of it like a savings account with compound interest. Every week you don't touch it, the value goes up because the deer are using that area with increasing confidence. Number 2. Plant clover in your shooting lanes. Low-growing clover holds deer in your lane longer than bare ground or dead leaves. It eliminates the crunching dry sticks and leaf litter that alert deer when they step into your shooting window. A deer with its head down, feeding in clover, moves slower and reacts less sharply to minor sounds. Scatter clover seed in late summer, keep it trimmed low and thick through the season. and your shooting lanes become feeding lanes. This is a small investment that pays back every single set. My buddy who guides in Highland County throws seed in every lane on every hang-on he sets and says it adds an average of 15 to 20 seconds of standing time in the lane per deer encounter. That's the difference between a rage hypodermic through both lungs and a rush shot that clips a shoulder blade. One limitation before I get to number 1. On public land with mandatory parking areas and designated access trails, several of these tricks become harder to execute. You can't always control your entry route when 50 other hunters use the same trailhead. You can't leave a stand untouched for 6 weeks on a walk-in area where other people find and sit your setups. On public ground, the principles still apply, but the execution shifts toward mobile setups, saddle hunting, and a willingness to go deeper and farther from access points than everyone else. The advantages go to the hunter who adapts these ideas to the constraints, not the one who gives up because the situation isn't perfect. Here's number 1. The hunter who kills consistently is the one who goes home more often. When the wind shifts during a sit, climb down and leave. When conditions aren't right, don't go at all. When the forecast says south wind and your only good stand needs a north wind, stay home and watch the weather for tomorrow. Every sit you take in poor conditions isn't neutral. It's a withdrawal from an account with a limited balance. The deer learn something about you every time you're in the woods. The hunters who fill their tags year after year hunt fewer total days than the guys who grind it out every weekend, regardless of conditions. They just never hunt the wrong day. That discipline is the hardest trick on this list and the one that ties the other 19 together. If you walked out of your stand this morning because the wind shifted, you already understand. If you stayed, everything else on this list is working against you until the woods forget you were there. Every time you walk into the woods, you're making either a deposit or a withdrawal. A deposit is a clean entry, correct wind, disciplined patience, a protected stand. A withdrawal is a sloppy walk-in, a bad wind day you hunted anyway, a camera check you didn't need, a stand you burned for the 4th time this month. Most hunters only make withdrawals and then wonder why the account is empty come November. All 20 of these tricks are deposits. Pick 3 of these 20 and commit to them this season. Just 3. I'd start with number 1, number 20, and number 4. Wind, entry route, and stand rotation. Master those 3 and the deer in your area will start behaving like nobody's hunting them because, from their perspective, nobody is.